Video, I'm going to be comparing the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise to Swamp Thing as well as Return of Swamp Thing. I've not seen either Swamp Thing movie, but I've seen 4 of the 8 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. When it comes to the highest score for each franchise, the original Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984 has a 94%. The first Swamp Thing movie only has a 60%, so just barely fresh. Then we look at lowest score. Return of Swamp Thing only has a 44%, but in the case of Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 remake has a 14%. When you look at average score, with Swamp Thing average of 52, with Nightmare on Elm Street average of 50, Swamp Thing wins this round, but Swamp Thing has won 2 of the rounds so far, but Nightmare on Elm Street has won 1 of them. Then we look at gap between lowest and highest score. Well, with Swamp Thing, you only have a gap of 16%. With Nightmare on Elm Street, gap of 80%, which actually means since Swamp Thing has won 3 of the rounds, it will be winning no matter what. But in terms of which franchise I'm going to choose, this one's easy. I'm definitely going to choose Nightmare on Elm Street. Of course, part of that is, well, I actually have seen some of these movies, but beyond that, I really like how with the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, you have this guy, Freddy Krueger's killing people in their dreams. That's a good way to make sure that these movies actually do something different, so they distinguish themselves from other 80s slashers. So you don't just watch them and go, oh yeah, it's just another one of these movies without anything unique to offer. No, Nightmare on Elm Street does something unique, actually. Now, I think the idea of Swamp Thing is an interesting one, and actually, I'm pretty sure Swamp Thing is from Wes Craven, the guy behind Nightmare on Elm Street. I've seen the first 3 movies out of those 3. The original film and the third one, Dream Warriors, are my 2 favorites. I like how Dream Warriors changes things up by changing up the setting and also having multiple kids learn about what's going on throughout the film, than them fighting against Freddy. I like how Freddy's defeated by the end. I know he came back in the 4th, 5th, and 6th film, but I haven't seen those ones. They don't interest me at all, because I'm like, well, as soon as you just feel that the killer can always come back, the writer can always contrive some way to bring him back, that's not interesting to me. I think Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994 is an interesting change of pace for this franchise. It really does something different because it's a lot more meta. In this case, it's actually set in a reality that's in a lot of ways very much like our own, where you have people that are, well, making the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. In fact, Robert Englund literally plays himself in this movie. Yeah, the guy who is Freddy Krueger in the other movies, he's playing himself in this 1994 film. And on top of that, Wes Craven plays himself. Wes Craven is a character in this Nightmare on Elm Street film. He's the guy who created this whole thing. He's just a character in there. The idea here is that this is in the real world, but Freddy suddenly appears in this reality when everyone thought he was just, a fictional character from the movies. That's very interesting, I would say. What I've heard about the 2010 remakes made me go, ooh, nope, that doesn't interest me at all. Now, I'm planning on watching Swamp Thing at some point for sure, because it seems pretty interesting, but I haven't seen him yet. When it comes to Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I think the biggest problem with this film isn't that it makes a lot of major mistakes, really. It's more that, yeah, it's just another one of these movies. It doesn't do anything really to distinguish itself from other Nightmare on Elm Street films. It's just, oh yeah, a new family moves into the house that the characters in the first film lived in. Freddy starts killing people, then they're trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, we're doing this again. It's not different. Dream Warriors, the third film, does something different. Wes Craven's New Nightmare does something different. The original film is the classic. This one just feels like another one of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, without anything to really distinguish itself. But I'm going to choose Nightmare on Elm Street easily, even though Swamp Thing is going to be winning. However, that'll wrap things up for now.